everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel, and welcome. Today I'm going to give you 5 tips / things that I wish I had known about living in student housing. For context, I go to California State University Northridge, also called CSUN. I started out community college, living at home, and then I transferred my junior year to Cal State Northridge and was living on campus for a year. I am sort of a senior, going into my senior year, 4th year of college, so I've only been at that school for 1 year. I'm going into my next year. I say I'm sort of a senior because I'm not graduating this year. I'm in a 5-year program, but there's not a word for that, so I'm going into my 4th year there. Anyway, I lived on campus last school year. So yeah, these are 5 things that I learned that you should know before you move on campus. Right, number 1. It's expensive, man. Living on campus is so expensive. I'm not going to say that I regret living on campus because it was an amazing experience and I would do it again if it was cheaper, but it's really expensive, and living on campus is so much cheaper. Also, meal plans are expensive. If you have a reasonable chance of cooking, I would suggest getting an apartment with a kitchen on campus, or it depends on how your campus does it, but I would suggest getting a kitchen and not getting a meal plan because it will be cheaper than getting the meal plan and an apartment or dorm without a kitchen. Now the actual dorms at my university are only for the freshmen, so I don't know how it works out at universities that don't have that rule where like people who are not freshmen can live in dorms, because we had apartments and then dorms, and the dorms are only for the freshmen. So I don't know exactly how that works out with the kitchens and stuff for non-freshmen. But meal plans are expensive unless you're somebody who is going to think you're going to cook, but then you just end up ordering takeout every meal. That's going to be more expensive than a meal plan. So you should get a meal plan if you're somebody like that. But like me, I got the meal plan, but I kind of wish that I hadn't, because I would cook if I had a kitchen, I would cook. So yeah, just consider that when you're choosing. Number 2, I don't know if all campuses have this, but mine does, and that is learning communities. So that's basically where there's like, in student housing, there's special like buildings for certain things. So like my major is deaf studies, so we had a building on the CSUN campus in the housing that you could stay in if you were a deaf studies major, and I ultimately didn't choose to stay there, and I wish I had, honestly. I love the roommate that I ended up with, so like I can't fully say that without putting that in there, that I would never have met her probably if I had lived in that building, and so I'm grateful for that. But when I chose it, I didn't know she was going to be my roommate, so at the time I should have chosen that. Anyway, if you get the opportunity, I would highly suggest getting involved in a learning community, moving into that dorm, just because there's going to be a lot of people around you that you have a lot in common with, and there will be a lot more opportunities to make friends. And it can also be a really great experience. They're not all for specific majors. I know my college had like an honors one and certain like interests and stuff. I don't know what all of them were, but I would suggest at least looking into that. Number 3. Okay, this is about when you choose your room. Okay, so I moved in with my roommate who she's also was a junior last year, so this is her senior year also, so like we're in the same year, and but she had been there since she was a freshman. So she had this down. She'd been living in student housing since she was a freshman. So now for 3 years. And so she kind of chose like which apartment we were going to be in, and I was just like, okay, sure, because I don't know anything. And to me, she chose the best one. She chose the building that was the closest to campus, but it also ended up being farthest from the dining hall. However, it takes a lot more willpower to walk from your house to campus to go to class than it does from your house to go to the dining hall to eat. So I would suggest that. It's much, also the dining hall, like that distance is shorter, like way shorter than the distance to campus. So yeah, anyway. So choosing the building that's closest to campus is usually a good idea, especially if you have to walk back and forth more than once in a day, which happens. It does, no matter how much you try to avoid it. Also, try not to live on the first floor. We ended up living in 2 different apartments during the year because during winter break there was a leak in our apartment and they had to move us, which really sucked. So we started out on the 2nd floor, and then we're moved to the 1st floor. We didn't experience this specifically, but living on the 2nd floor or higher is usually better because there tends to be less bugs. There's just that extra level for them to get to, and yeah, so that helps a little bit with that. Honestly, we found less bugs in our 1st floor apartment, so there's that, but in general, that's kind of a general rule about all apartments, so it's good to know. For us, we chose the 2nd floor because like kind of the 3rd and 4th floor are sort of known for being the party floors on our campus for some reason. I don't really know why it's true, but it is true. But different campuses are going to be different for that reason. Also, if you know anyone who already is going to that school and or living in the student housing specifically, ask them which building is the party building or the weed building or whatever, because we definitely had a weed building at my campus, and you want to try to avoid that unless you're into that. Number 3, roommates. So if you're living on campus, chances are your school has some type of online matching system for roommates. The way mine worked was you answered a series of questions, it matched you with a whole bunch of people based on your answers, and then you could message each other and try to get to know each other, choose who your roommate was going to be. If you didn't choose somebody, they would just automatically like match you with one of your matches on there, who also didn't choose somebody. So you can do that, but I would highly suggest trying to message people and get to know them, and then choose yourself. That's how I found my roommate, and we ended up being best friends. Now that's not always going to happen. I got really lucky. Sometimes, you know, you'll just pass each other in the hall and everything, but it's still going to be better if you find somebody that you chose as your roommate instead of just letting it choose automatically, because you at least have some type of say in it. Number 5. This is about like when you're buying things for your dorm room, and that is, don't buy things that you don't already use and you don't have a plan for using. That may sound weird, but what I'm trying to say is when I was getting ready to move to my dorm, I read all of these articles about like lists of things that you absolutely must have in your dorm, you know, dorm essentials, all of that stuff. And I bought all of this stuff, and I got there, and then I didn't use half of it. And the thing is that like everyone is different, and like what you need and what you use is going to be different, and you can always buy something once you're there. You don't have to buy everything ahead. So like one specific thing that happened with was a battery operated fan. Everything said you need a fan like in your dorm room. So I bought one, and then I used it like once. Which my roommate had one that she used a lot. She liked to use it for like white noise at night. But we were in the same room, so like I didn't need to use mine for that. I can sleep with any amount of noise, I don't really care. So I never really used mine, and I'd never used one before, so if you don't foresee yourself using the thing, then don't get it. Now, a thing that I didn't use before, that I did use a lot on campus, was my scooter. I bought a scooter to get to and from campus and between classes and everything. I used that almost every day. I didn't have a car, so I also used it to get to places near campus and the surrounding area. It was great to have. Not something I really use here at my parents' house ever, but I foresaw using that. I had a plan for how I was going to use that, and I did use it. But the fan, everything said you needed one. I didn't really foresee using it for any specific purpose, but I just thought, hey, I guess I have to buy that because that's what everyone says to buy. But you don't. You only buy something if you know you're going to use it or need it, because space is limited in the dorms or in apartment on campus housing. You don't have that much space to store all this extra stuff that you're never gonna use. Alright, so that was 5 things that I learned while living in student housing. I hoped that you enjoyed this. I hope that it helped you in some way. If you have any questions about anything I've said, please leave it in the comments below. I will try to answer it for you. If you have any other tips, leave those below, or any ideas for for other videos for me to make. Wow, I cannot maintain my train of thought for more than 2 seconds. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna try to start posting weekly. Yeah. Yeah, and have a great day. I will see you later. Bye. I can't talk.